to the Broken Hill Musicians Club. Before we get things underway, just a bit of housekeeping. Our emergency exits are over to my left. We've got toilets either out to the back of the room through the exit or out towards my right, and the smokers' rooms out there as well. So that's our housekeeping done. Of course, the bar's out there as well if you feel like you need a refreshment. On behalf of the Facebook page, Broken Hill Menindee Lakes We Want Action, we'd like to welcome you to our public forum tonight. It's a fantastic show. So give yourselves a round of applause. I'm sure that the guys behind the Facebook page would agree in saying we really didn't know how many people would be here tonight. I know Jeremy Buckingham, the Greens MP from Sydney, was asking the question, how many people do you think will get here? And we honestly didn't know. We put 220 chairs out, and look at us, we've got standing room only, so well done, and obviously this is a very, very sensitive issue. So I'd like to, first of all, welcome Jeremy Buckingham from the Greens. And also the creator of the Facebook page, Broken Hill Menindee Lakes We Want Action, Kevin Stacey. And the gentleman who can't keep out of the media of late is, of course, Darren Clifton. We do have some apologies. I'm not sure if we have any updates on the apologies that I got there today. Okay, so we do need to acknowledge the people that can't be here tonight. That's Broken Hill City Councillor Christine Adams, New South Wales Water Minister Kevin Humphries, Federal Member for Farrer Susan Lee, and the Head of the River Management of the NDBA David Dreverman. And also our local state member John Williams is an apology as well. Alright, I'd like to ask Darren to come forward and open up this evening, and we'll get things underway.
Thanks, Mark. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for turning up tonight. It's amazing and overwhelming to see all these people here tonight. 10,137 members on the Facebook page. That's something we never ever dreamt of achieving. We thought if we get 100 people getting on and having a discussion, then we might be able to create a bit of interest. And look what's happening now. We've really got the current Water Minister ducking for cover, in my view. He's got to do a lot of groundwork. Jeremy Buckingham's come to our rescue, so to speak. He's bringing us up in Parliament 3 times so far. First time they heckled him, they laughed at him. And the second time they took a little bit of notice. And the third time I seen was yesterday, they didn't seem to see he was there at all. It's just like he's invisible. So a lot of disrespect, but Jeremy's going to take our fight right to the end, and we're going to help him do it. So I've just got to read off a piece of paper so I forget everything I was going to say. I thank you for your continued passion and your commitment to fight against the issues of bore water and mismanagement of the Menindee Lakes and Darling River. As I stated, our current membership is 10,137. And the Water Minister Kevin Humphries knows that this could be attributed to votes at the March 2015 election. I must make it perfectly clear, we are not a mob of political activists, but if there's any politician or political party in New South Wales that are willing to rectify the mismanagement of the Menindee Lakes and will fight to keep us off bore water, then I'm sure a vast majority of our members from this group will throw the support behind the march next year. We're a peaceful group that have come together because we are passionate about what we see as right and what the state and federal governments have done is wrong. We as a group will not tolerate violence or threats towards others that have different opinion than us, or those that hold responsible for what has happened to the latest implementation of the bore water program. And I refer to no basic authority on that, even though we hate it, where we shouldn't attack it. Refuse to lose united we stand, people. The format of tonight's meeting will be very informal. Our MC Damien Fisher will be on hand to ensure that we stay on the subject and to ensure that time limits are in place to give everyone an opportunity to speak. On behalf of the people that are present tonight, I would like to thank Jeremy Buckingham for his support, especially to let him know that this whole region felt bitterly disappointed if not discussed by his treatment when simply asked the valid questions to the upper house of New South Wales government surrounding our current plight. People power is what is going to drive our resolve against this government. As ex-US President Ronald Reagan once said, the government is like a baby's elementary canal, a happy appetite at one end and no responsibility at the other. I'd like to now hand over to MC Damien to steer the meeting along and to ensure that our time limits it to those who want the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Damien.
Thanks, Darren. All right. Obviously, the Facebook page, as Darren said, over 10,000 people have now joined the Facebook page, not only from here in Australia, here in Broken Hill, the far west, but right around the world, which is absolutely fantastic. And the man that got it started is, of course, Kevin Stacey. So we can say who it is.
Thanks, John. I'll be reading again, as Darren did, not so good at this. So, yeah, as I was introduced, my name's Kevin Stacey. You might be aware, myself and Darren are passionate instigators of the Facebook group program Menindee Lakes People Action. This group was born from the disbelief that such poor mismanagement of the Darling River and the Menindee Lakes could occur and lead to minimal water supply to our region. Our passion is to have the lakes and river system restored, thus allowing a constant reserve of water that can be readily accessed by the Broken Hill and Menindee communities. The last straw was a poor proposal, and the textbook response from all our representatives to attempt to justify their actions under the rules of evaporation. Susan Ray tells us it's so bad you can actually see it evaporate. We're led to believe that evaporation is the sole reason for the lake's demise. Of course, the effects from the upstream irrigators and the massive unnecessary drawdown to South Australia was not. We're overwhelmed by the support groups received so far from its inception. From its inception, we estimate that we'd only just a few hundred members. That, we couldn't be more wrong. We currently grow by nearly 1,000 new members every 10 days, and now we sit at just over 10,000. This proves to me that as a community, we're all passionate about the water issue, and I'm disappointed how we, as a community, are placed second behind the large irrigators. I can only stress, which I was continually on our page, where does the moral compass of our representatives point? Are we and our children not more deserving of surface water than cotton growers? Our crops and the taxes that come from are more important than the cultural significance of the whole area. Why are environmental flows for South Australia and protection of our system accepted? By now you all understand the truth of why the lakes are drained. What we will not find, however, is anyone to take ownership of the decision or take responsibility for its demise. What our goal is now is to ensure the next inflow is retained by raising the trigger level and gaining commitment from the government to initiate infrastructure changes to adopt the alternatives to the war program that a number of our members have worked hard to formulate. Finally, it'd be remiss of me not to acknowledge the work carried out by our members. Firstly, to my fellow admin, Darren Clifton, Larry Andrews, Mark Hutton, and Andrew Holder. Many of you might not be aware of the council. Countless hours spent researching phone calls, emails, that are greatly benefit to the group. And special mention must also be made to Pauline Roney. Taking ownership of the petition side of things and spent a great deal of her own time helping out the group. By no means lastly, I would like to acknowledge the great job our members do in sharing their love for the lakes and the vast knowledge of the same. Also, the people who anonymously contribute vital information, you all know who you are, and without who we certainly wouldn't be where we are today. But what we won't do is give up in our fight. United, we carry a big stick and they know it. The group will continue to grow in numbers, and come last election time, they'll not only hear our voice, they'll have to listen. Let's see if they laugh at us come March when they're begging us for their votes. As our slogan clearly states, united we stand, refuse to lose. Thanks for all your attendance tonight, and thanks to the musicians club for providing the venue.
Thank you, Peter. Now we move on to our special guest tonight, who's come all the way up from Sydney. He's had a bit of a whirlwind tour of not only Broken Hill but been out to Menindee, and he'll tell you the story that the people in Menindee and that area are just as disgusted with what's happening out there as much as what you are. Folks, can you please put your hands together and welcome to Broken Hill, Jerry Buckingham.
Start off with some acknowledgements. I'd like to acknowledge you all for being here and being so passionate and loud and vocal and so Broken Hill in everything you're doing. It's fantastic to come to a community that can come together. Clearly, you know, every community has their differences, but when you put under the pump, you come together, you band together, you raise up your voices, and it's been heard all the way down to Sydney and across the country. So well done to you all.
Well done.
We want Action Broken Hill, because without that group, I wouldn't be here, and it wouldn't be front and centre of the minds of the people down in Macquarie Street and Canberra. So congratulations to Kevin, to Mark, to Darren, to Damien as well, because by all of the community coming together, sharing that information, you put it all there, you packaged it up, and so you should give them a round of applause. 10,000 people come together, and those people are from across Australia, and they look at what's happened in Broken Hill and said, that's wrong, that's a broken system. Whatever they're doing there is absolutely wrong on any judgment of management and proper governance. A little bit about me. I got the information from Mark Williams and from others. They said, look, we've written to people, they've ignored us, this is the situation. And really I couldn't believe it, because I came out here, I've always been interested in the Menindee Lakes, I've always been interested in water. I live in Orange, I don't live in Sydney, I live in Orange. And we went through a real water crisis about 10 years ago. We ran out of water over about 4 years. I spent 4 years telling my council, I was on Orange City Council, you need to do something about the water. There's 50,000 people here, a big line, we don't have infrastructure, we're a small catchment, yada yada yada. And they ignored me, and they just spun rubbish. They just strung us out and said, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do that, and they didn't do any of it. And in the end, what we ended up with the situation was where the city was faced with putting in bores that wouldn't meet the city's needs. They waited and waited and waited until there was a crisis. And I believe it was a crisis they created. And so when I saw what was happening here, one, I'd come out here 2 years ago and couldn't believe. I'd stood at the where Lake Wetherell, that water runs into Marmaroo. I'd stood at those gates there, and I could not believe that there could be so much water anywhere in Western New South Wales. It was absolutely remarkable. I saw those lakes filling, and I thought it was an absolute marvel. And clearly, an intrinsic part of your community, the environment, and the cultural life here. To hear, just a couple of years later, that they were bone dry and you were going to pause, I thought must have been a fib. I thought that can't be true, these people are getting excited. I saw the photos, I read the reports, and I thought that is absolutely criminal. So I started having a look around at who was talking about it, and no one out of Broken Hill was talking about it. So it was easy for me, because of the experience I had in Orange, and because of the experience I saw in Parliament, the information, to make contact and to decide to do something about it. So it was very, very easy for me to walk in there and ask a question. And that was all I was doing. So you're a representative, you pay my wage, I'm an employee of the taxpayers of New South Wales. Whatever flavour I am, green, I'm a green, but whatever. My responsibility is to go in there and do the job for whatever community is in need. And I thought it was absolutely disgraceful that those people in that parliament would treat this issue with such contempt.
Yeah.
And that I Representative Kevin Humphries. Representative, well, you know, excuse me, but you've got him by the short and curls. Because if he doesn't win Broken Hill, he doesn't win a seat. You can sack him. But anyway, it was a bar. But anyway, you might vote for the Greens, you might vote for someone else. But the thing is, don't vote for Kevin Humphries because he has put his big irrigator mates front and centre everything he's done since he became Water Minister. The first thing he did when he became Water Minister of New South Wales was introduce a bill that I'm sure none of you have heard of. It's called the Water Management Bill. Hands up if you've heard that. Hands up if you've had consultations over that. No, absolutely not. They rushed the bill through the Parliament. What that bill did was it said that all illegal works in New South Wales, so water diversion works, turkeys nest dams, illegal irrigation channels, all illegal works in New South Wales that had been constructed since 1990 were now approved and made legal. Now that's criminal. That's the first thing. The second thing was if you had done that, you were then entitled to a supplementary licence and you could get paid for that water that you'd effectively stolen. And then the third bit was, he said, when we're working out water licences in New South Wales, we're going to pretend, we're going to have the cut-off date for working out how much water's in the system as 2004, so we can just pretend that the millennium drought didn't happen. So the first thing he did was, he just gave a get out of jail card to his irrigator mates, then he gave them a cheque, and then he told a whole lot of fibs about how much water's in the system. That's how Kevin Humphries operates, and it's all bullshit.
That's correct.
It was very easy for me to go into the Parliament and oppose that bill. And I said to the Labor Party, fellow there called Steve Wand, this is a really serious issue. Western New South Wales is drying out. At that time, I didn't know how bad Broken Hill was, but I've got mates up around Narrabri and the rest, and croppers and all the rest, and everyone knew the drought was getting bad. And I was saying, Western New South Wales dries out, this will come back to bite us on the butt. We'll go back and say, who put in this system? Because if we pretend the millennium drought didn't happen, and that there's more water in the system than there actually is, well, we're flying blind. And that is a stupid way to operate. We need to operate on science and reason and be upfront and honest with people. And so when I found out that in Broken Hill, that the consultation that Kevin Humphries thought was appropriate was to turn up at the weir there with the Irrigators Council and say, guess what, Broken Hill, you're going on the boards. I think that's garbage. That's no way to run a government. Sort out a new weir for Wilcannia and the impact that's having on those people there, I think that is absolutely criminal. In a country as rich as ours, how we can't sort that system out is a disgrace, and the fact that they get caught just up along the pipeline there, going to drill bores, haven't told anyone, there's artefacts around the place, shows how they could not run chook lotto in this place. The government is absolutely it's all it's dealing with is the big end of town. And the big end of town is the National Party. They're looking at their big mates in the irrigation industry, the bankers that finance them in Queensland. That's what they're looking at. And they're looking and the Liberals down in South Australia, they just want that water flowing out through the Murray River because the electorate's there. Well, good governance and justice shouldn't be about having money in your back pocket. It should be about looking after a community and Broken Hill. I mean, just because you're out here doesn't mean that your voices don't count. Broken Hill has done more to, and contributed to the Australian cultural landscape just as much as any other country in here. Like you really So what I'm going to do is I've got to say, I've been 9 hours there out at Lake Commander and rest. there's a lot to learn. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything about that lake system. I think there's people who've been here for 30 and 40 years are still learning more, the generation, a lifetime, that are learning about that system. But I think there are some solutions other than forcing the community on a permanent pause. Darren was talking to me about pipelines, extending pipelines, raising weirs, talking about clearing out reservoirs, all of those things. Darren, Kevin have provided that information to me, and I'll be right up the minister's ribs with letters all the time telling him that no remorse. The community doesn't want pause. We didn't want it in Orange. As someone said to me at the pie shop this morning, pause are for cows. We're not cows. And the community, as big, as vibrant, as important as Broke Hill, needs a viable solution. Because what I think they're trying to do is force you on pause so that they can keep that water up above the river. And that's really what it's about. It's about picking winners and losers. The first time I asked a question, they laughed. The second time I gave a speech, and they were a bit dismissive, they were paying attention. The third time, you could hear a pin drop. They went, we have made a big mistake. Because the National Party are in big trouble in this country. They've abandoned their rural constituents for the big end of town, the big miners on the gas industry. And they've done it again here with big irrigators over a community here. And fair income, you've got a Greens MP in front of you because country Labor couldn't turn up. What I'm here to do is say, I'll do a job for you. So if you pass a resolution tonight, or you've got more information, I will take that to the Parliament. I'll put that in front of the Minister's nose and say, you've got to respond. I'll make him answer the questions. By law, if I ask a question as a Member of Parliament, he's got to answer. I'll ask him, will he consider infrastructure funding? I'll ask the question, where did all the bloody money go from the Murray-Darling Basin? I don't accept that the Menindee Lakes are unviable. It's clearly an important part of the social fabric of this region. It's clearly a system that we've maybe some changes could be supported in the long term. Now maybe some of those lakes aren't quite as big. Maybe we've got pipelines and the rest of it, but it's absolutely essential. When I said to Duncan Gay, what about the Menindee Lakes? He said, it's the biggest evaporation pond in Australia. Well, I said, well, as if Lake Victoria, as if Covey Station is evaporating as we speak. So they have that range of the continue to ask those questions. And it's not just about an election. I might be a blow-in, but I'm committed to regional New South Wales. I'm from Orange, I'm committed to the country, and so this issue will be live come the day after the state election. It will be still a big issue for you, so it's not like I'm going to drop it after the state election. We need government to commit to the infrastructure, the real infrastructure we need, not some just patch it up poor thing that's just garbage. The real infrastructure, a recognition of how serious the issue is, by at least turning up. So next time you have a forum, well, I'll be here again, and they better be here as well, and I'll make sure we keep the bastards honest.
Thanks, Jerry. I might just get you to just tell us about your experience up there in Menindee today. You went and had a look at the ball sites, but also had a very important meeting with our Indigenous leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a bit of a spray in the first place I went to from a few of the locals up there. They said, you're a politician, come here. And they gave me a fair spray, which was good, which was great. I learned a bit from a fella there, Max Smith, and some old timers there. They gave me a bit of an education, which was good. That's what I'm here to do. And enough of me, really I'm here to hear from you. But also, I was really moved by the people from Menindee, the people at the survey, the people at the caravan park, the young family there. there at Copen Hollow. They take up the caravan park. They want to provide a place for all of you to go to recreation and all the rest of it. And then it all falls in a heap because someone decides that we're going to just pump a whole of water from Lake Victoria and out to the Pacific, into the Southern Ocean. And what I believe is very, very, very strange reasons. So I learned a lot. That I've got to say that in a system with as much water in it as the Darling River, for us not to have enough water to make sure that the community of Wilcannia isn't properly serviced is a disgrace. You know, I think that we're the other day there was a report in the Sydney Morning Herald that said you people will live 20 years less than everyone else in the state. Think about that. Because you live here. The life expectancy here in Western New South Wales is 67 years. In the rest of the state, it's 80 years. It's the same here as Uganda. And that is an they don't have the infrastructure for water, they don't provide the services, and they just don't think there's only one electorate out there, so who cares? Well, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. So I'm a sort of bottom-up sort of person. I work with grassroots. I think we need to work with all of our communities and work at the places where we need to do the most first. And clearly, Wilcannia, on any measure, is a place where we need to do that work first. Make sure that there's a weir put in place, sort out where it goes. Good luck with that. But anyway, put the weir in and make sure that community at least has an option, an outlet, a cultural option that's so important then. Exactly the same for you people. How important is having a place to swim, to have recreation, have a cold beer in summer, all that thing. It's massively important. So I recognise that, and so I'll go to work to do that. That's what I learned out there today.
Thank you, Jeremy. All right, we hand over to you, the public, to have your say in a respectful way. Keeping in mind that obviously there's a lot of us here tonight. We sort of don't want to be here till midnight. I've got to do the breakfast show tomorrow, so I've got to be home at a decent hour. But in all honesty, we have got roving microphones, and we're more than happy for you to ask Jeremy a question or have your say to Jeremy to take some notes and take it back to those politicians back in the community. So,
just before Dano comes to this one, I've got a microphone in my head. Some very important announcement. Those people who participated in the meat rally. Actually, it's quite good because here we are, 350, maybe 400 people supporting the news that we know has been through a pretty tough time. So Ernie, Wazzo, Carolyn, Annabelle, Joe Paul, Larry Angel, and Christians, I think it is. They've all won the meat trade, so well done.
Alright, so we might, we've got a presentation for Jeremy, by the looks of it. The lovely Trish Thomas from Jade Science. Haven't Jade Science done a wonderful job? We're putting the tools together and also the t-shirts.
We've put, I went, I listened, I looked, I listened, I want action.
Alright, we might go to our first question down over there in the corner.
I'll just go up the front so that you can look me in the eyes and I won't tell you lies, I'm like a politician. Now, first up, I'd like to, what's name, IE, Barker, Weaver, Barker, Darling River Volcano. I'm a Darling River blackfellow, I come from the Darling River Volcano, and I'm a Barker person. My people, and what the government tell us, but we know we're on the Darling River right from birth, right to Whitworth. We don't like what's going on. Another thing, you might see 3 or 4 black faces here in this room with my people, where they're messages. There's a lot out there, a lot of us don't like getting up talking, and we see I'm the people in Broken Hill. I am very insulted with Kevin Humphreys for coming out here, lying to the people, not even just to Aboriginal people or black people, but to white people. It's not on. This man here, I can't say his name, I forgot his name. So he's a good person, and I appreciate him coming out to listen to a lot of us. Right? And this thing here, this was made in 2004 when we had crisis before we died with the Menindee. So we had a little march, and I thought it's time to have the cock with the dust not go off and say a little bit more. Another person, what I don't like, is Suzanne Leah. For coming and saying in our local paper that we are historic or something doesn't work to you. Historical, that's right. We are not. We are people what's trying to make Australia grow from the outback. Right? Also, on the top I'll explain where it says Barker Booker. It's written in English, but it means the Darling River is dead. Right? That's what the man said, and that's what they're doing. They're killing the Darling River. When they kill the Darling River, they don't only kill my people, the Barker people that are there for a long time, they kill all you people too. Because that's our river, right? And united we stand in this way we will. I come in tonight. I come in tonight to tell all my friends from Brotherhood, no matter what colour you are, or what race you are, and to tell this man, take the message, and tell Susan Leah that no Lee, or whatever her name is, Susan Leah to say that they was talking about trucking the Brotherhood people back. Okay? So I only went to the mission school in Volcano now and again. I was lucky to get 6 classes, so they go to work. Right? But if you look at the history of Broken Hill and the mining history of Broken Hill, didn't a lot of the people, white people, come and they push wheelbarrows, right? You look at some of Broken Hill, that's what they've done. The people today, we got cars, we got trains, none of us going to be, right? My people are walking around this country for years, right? That's our foot tracks there walking for years, right? So we all stay together. That's how Menindee Lakes down the Menindee dead, right? What happened, they should not have let the water out. I'm not an engineer, like I said, I only got the 6th class, right? But I was talking to people, like a friend down in South Australia. There was other people down in South Australia what was getting flooded out, you know? So they furnished us out, and didn't you say, Bud, before that the people in New South Wales, I think it wasn't very black people, but to everyone, that we're only going to live to about 60 or something. That's true, because what the government are going to do, they're going to perish us and kill a lot of us. That's what they're going to try to do. But we've got to stand together and be together, right?
Hello? Yeah, my name's Roy Smith. We all know that they let the water from Menindee go for environmental reasons further downstream. The question I'd like you to ask in Parliament is how much water is stored in the dams in the tributaries leading into the Darling And how much of that water is earmarked for environmental purposes?
Yeah, it's a good question, Roy, and I'd start by saying, what is an environmental purpose? I mean, here I stand in front of you as a Green. I've got colleagues who think that we should keep the barrages open, and there's a lot of people in South Australia. I don't understand that. I for the life of me, don't understand if we're into a natural environment, why we would try and artificially keep so much fresh water in the system to create an artificial freshwater lake at the mouth of Australia's biggest river system. I just don't understand it. It's something that I think we need to have a debate about in the environment movement, and also New South Wales needs to take up with South Australia, because we need to work together on the Murray-Darling system, but it looks to me like the people on the Darling are carrying the load. And I don't think that that's fair, because it's already tough enough. Water is so important out here, so we need to make sure that in terms of that point, that there's justice done. And it's something that I will do. I'll raise through the Australian Greens. I did yesterday. I ran into Sarah Hanson-Young and I raised that issue. I said to her, we're going to have a fearless and frank conversation about the Darling River and how much water is coming out of that system. In terms of who's got the water in the upper reaches, well, we know. We know it's the big irrigators. We know the big irrigators, they just really get the sucker dry. Like here today, I was talking to Darren and others about the fact that the river stops at Perth. That's criminal. And we know, and talk to some of those old timers, it never used to be like that. It used to be every 15, 16, at least every 2 years, the lakes would fill. There'd be these medium-sized floods. Well, it just didn't happen by itself. There clearly has been over-allocation. The Murray-Darling Basin Plan really hasn't dealt with it. I mean, like the government recently spent $180 million buying back water licences for 10 blokes or 10 farms down on the Menindee Lakes, on the Murray system, the Murray-Beachy system. And they went and picked those 10 people because one, and they were again floodplain harvesters who shouldn't have been getting the money. It was absolutely criminal. What they did was, they said, you're taking the water you should have, so what we're going to do is going to validate your licence. So it's like you get caught, speeding, and they say, well, and you don't even have a licence. They say, okay, we're going to give you a licence, and then they say, I'm going to change the road rules. And that's what they did for these people, and then handed them $180 million, the biggest water buyback in New South Wales history, for water that would have just flowed through the Murray-Beachy area. And my guess, my opinion of why that happened was because they didn't have the ticker to go to the Murray-Beachy system and say to some of those, Italian farmers and other farming families, we've got to buy back your water. They picked a soft target and threw a lot of money at it, and I think the same system applies. They don't want to go into the Namoi Valley, into Barwon, and up into the Ballon system and say to those people up there in Queensland, enough's enough, we want to buy you out. And that's really what it's going to come down to, right?
Yeah, Royal Commission, mate, that's what you need.
Well, absolutely. Why would you buy that kind of station when we had the chance? Absolutely.
Thanks for coming, Jeremy. Firstly, you started off with told us all here tonight that we're probably only live to 67. So a few will probably move out of town. But one of the big problems in Broken Hill was being lead, and our water, cost of providing water to Broken Hill, or what we pay for it, has doubled over the last 5 or 6 years. It was made quite clear that this water option that they're talking about is actually going to cost the Broken Hill community about 3 times what we currently pay for water. So it's not just about the lakes being destroyed, but we're not going to be able to afford to buy the water to keep lead under control in the city. And with our... Sorry about that. We have other concerns. It's going to have an impact on us medically as well. We have a population in Broken Hill where the average wage is about half what the rest of the state is. So not only are we not expected to live long, we don't earn much, and we're lead affected. So it's vitally important that you get across to the state government. Their decisions are not only affecting the river system, but they're actually killing people in Broken Hill. And it's not just adults, it's the kids that it affects most. So there's a lot that's going on, and there's a lot more than just irrigators. You were talking about the Murrumbidgee. They did actually go to the Murrumbidgee. They were talking about taking 1,500 gigalitres. They drove them out of town. They lasted not even a day there. That's the reason they don't attack the Menindee. They come here and have a go at us because we've got no money behind us. All we are is a lot of passionate people, and I'm thankful that you turned up.
To solve all those problems, but I'll start like Dad always said to me, the job that takes the longest is the one you never start. You never start talking about. So I will start that work representing Broken Hill on all those issues. It's absolutely criminal that should be the case. Now we know it. We can't turn it as policy makers. It's you can't turn your back from it. There's issues in Broken Hill, no doubt. But let's not add to them by destroying the place with this unnecessary debacle in Menindee. I mean, it's true. If they're going to go with bores, then you're going to have reverse osmosis, and that's super expensive. And then you're going to have down there somewhere at Menindee a great big salt pan. And that's just adding on and on and on. Really, the state government, we are one of the richest countries in the world, and it's communities like Broken Hill that have made us that way. How we don't have the capacity? I'm a bit of a socialist, I've got to admit it. How come we don't have the capacity to tax the most wealthy people, the big mining companies, the most profitable, the banks? How come we don't have the capacity to actually leverage a fair amount of income from there as a government to make sure we can provide the services, deal with the environmental issues you've got here, to make sure that you have better health outcomes? We do. It's a deliberate choice of government to choose you not to act upon it. That's what they do. They say, who will we choose? Imagine for a moment that they were down at Manly, Mike Baird turned up at Manly Beach on a Sunday with his kids, and they said to him, sorry Mike, your kids can't go on the beach in the ocean anymore, it doesn't exist. We've drained it, it doesn't exist. No surfing, no swimming, and guess what? When you go home, you can drink shit water. There'd be a blow up that you wouldn't believe. They fix it in a moment. And it's just purely about political cynicism. They choose to look after the people where the votes are. So you've got to send someone a message. Now, whether or not that's me, whether or not that's the Greens, I don't know. You make that choice. But it's certainly about making sure the government is you. You're doing that. You're doing that. Don't forget, in this electorate of Barwon, Broken Hill is 50% of the vote. If Kevin Humphries does not win this city, then he loses the seat. You have the power. And if Barwon, through our national MP, who was sitting up on 70% margin, and then he was turfed out, they will all sit up and they will act. I predict, this is my prediction, that in the coming weeks, you'll have the Kevin Humphries, the Hollywood Humphries Roadshow, roll in, and he will promise the world. He will say, I'm doing this, I'm listening to this, I should have done that, oh, you got me all wrong, blah, 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 to get him through the state election, and he will roll on again. But that's not good enough, because the issues you're talking about health impacts on kids, a decent and safe place to live, the proper services, and a place where you can go and get together and at least, for God's sake, have clean, reliable water and the first priority of government, not the last.
Good evening, Jeremy, and the organisers of the meeting, and my colleague, Peter Bevan, Big talking, all right. I haven't got a microphone half the time, and I'm still as cross as a March here, even without one, because that water was running out of Menindee Lakes because they think that the water ought to be able to run non-stop into the sea. Every time it stops running into the sea, they get alarmed in South Australia, but it didn't run into the sea in the old days. It didn't. They only want it to run into the sea now. Everything goes in there wastage except on a very high river, like it always used to. The lakes were dry for around about 10 years in round figures. The present government, of course, wasn't in charge of the lakes in those days. Funny thing. And the plans came out every few months. They talked about cutting a channel through from Cornvilla through to the river, through a national park, through dinosaur bones, Aboriginal bones, and through artefacts. And that is an absolutely stupid proposition. It will never happen. The other thing that would never happen, and it keep coming back and back and back in plans, because I was down here listening to them, the other thing that kept coming back and back and back in plans was putting a bank across the Menindee Lake. Now think about that for a while. You've got unstable ground under the lake, you've got 11 kilometres or so, and it's got to be sheeted with stone both sides because of the choppy wave action. Otherwise the lake would do what lakes do, it would shake down and disappear into the lake again. Anyway, all these plans came backwards and forwards. Nothing was ever resolved, nothing went ahead, nothing at all. They looked like delaying action for me. Now, Burketown here today in the paper was quoted as having, what, about 3 metres of water in it? And it left in the paper. Of course, about 3 metres of water in it. They measured it inside the bloody weir pond of the lake. It didn't have any water in it. Burke would be dried right out. There would never bloody drop of water in Burke. It didn't have 3 metres in there. Weir pond, not below the weir pond, dry as a chip. I was up there the other day, had a look around. Cunnamulla was absolutely shocked. Not a blade of grass, no animals at all. Not much better at Charleville. You've got to go right over east before you hit anything look like a blade of grass up there, and there won't be any running off that country until it actually rains. Until it rains, nothing will come down here. Now we'll talk about Covey Station for a sec. I would imagine there wouldn't be a flaming drop in Covey Station up there. There's been 2 ounces water around. And what is more, there's 107 million bales of cotton lying around in storage and in warehouses right now, which is enough to give everybody on the planet 2 pairs of jeans. Now, there's that much cotton around, you're not going to see 2 flaming much growing from here on, because it won't be worth a crump to put it in. What would you grow the stuff? The other thing that happened, as you probably know, is that Covey wasn't bought, but Torelli was bought the night before the auction by Penny Wong. What did she get out of the Warrego River? Nothing at all. Nothing comes down the Warrego and into the Darling. They were river licences, and you've got 2 river licences from the Darling River, where they pump it back into a pond off the Darling River and use it for irrigation. And that's a well-known airline company, Cathay Pacific, owned by them and other assorted organisations. The other thing I'll say, and just to finish off, boards. Anybody up in the bush who's got a station and it doesn't have any boards on it, and it relies on surface water only, doesn't matter how big your dams are, they are going to go dry, and that station will not have water on it from time to time. The only boards that saves in the bush, I was there long enough, bore water is better than no water. I'm serious, bore water is better than no water. I'd sooner have more water than no water, if that's the case. Now, how are you going to get water for a start? To get that bloody regulator built between the 2 lakes that nobody did anything about for 10 years while the flaming lakes were dry. You can't do it with a scuba gear. You can't go to a scuba gear and build a regulator. You do it when the lakes are dry. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Peter. Back there.
That's better. My name's Charlie Henson. I'm a commercial fisherman, again, Wentworth. there's a few, probably 100 different questions I want to raise with the Menindee Lakes systems. But I'm going to be brief. Thanks for coming, Jeremy. The rest of the party, we've got this refuse to lose. United we stand. It's a great outcome. A great film, Menindee. So good on you all. Thanks for anyway, like I said, I'm a commercial fisherman. I'm a little bit disgusted the way that the lakes have been handled over the years with fish and so forth. And the lakes, they're sitting there perishing, dying. We're denied access to them. We can't get in, so we're losing an income, creating issues for rotting fish, pollution of water, feral animals burning up, pigs. The Australian government spends enough money on eradication of feral animals throughout over the years, and here we are again having to, being a taxpayer himself, have to fork out more money to have these animals eradicated because of the dying fish and so forth. That's one avenue that I want to cover, but the other point I want to make that here we are with a Darling river system that should be a viable system for Western New South Wales, or most of New South Wales actually. Why are we growing cotton and rice in the driest land continent in the world?
Fucking righto. So Joey, they're really good questions. Look, one of the things I learned today was there's an environmental disaster happening down in the lakes. Like, how is it there's a limit on how many fish you can catch? Like, you catch more than 5 fish, and then all of a sudden you're in trouble. But the Office of Water can drain an inland sea effectively and kill millions of fish. How on any measure is that reasonable at all? It's just absolutely stupid. The fact that if it's foreseeable if we pump hundreds of gigalitres of water out of there, it's going to go dry. Why wouldn't you say, okay, let's get all those fish out? Why wouldn't you do it? If you're going to make a deliberate decision to go and do it, why wouldn't you do it? And I don't think you should have. I don't think that it was necessary to do it. I think that, as I said at the beginning, the Darling is carrying the load. But why, if you were going to do it, would you not set aside and make plans for those fish? That's valuable. It's just wasteful. It's bad for the environment. As you say, someone said to me, all the fish are dying around the lake. It's clear, the pigs come in, the foxes come in, and you just make a big mess. But the point here is, there's a fishing industry here. I mean, recreational fishing is the #1 sport in Australia. I mean, it's a way to create food. It's a way to create a massive industry. I flew into WA today. Burrendong Dam regulated. They pumped the water down. They really just used the water out of Burrendong as a channel. They just pump a whole heap of water down there to deliver water to cotton growers in the Macquarie. Now, what's the expense of that? Well, there's the environmental expense and all the rest of it, but the opportunity cost. There's an opportunity cost. Dubbo could be a city, in my opinion, of 200,000 people because it's got great water, it's got fantastic services, it's in the middle of the state, it's right on the between Melbourne and Brisbane. We can have a big airport there, but there's no vision. They just, the policy makers who live in Lane Cove and Vaucluse and Surrey Hills don't think anything's happening over the Great Dividing Range. Yet we provide all the food, fibre, clothes, minerals for the country. If I had my way, you just stop everything at the highway for a couple of months and say, now see how you're going with those. I'm absolutely serious. There's a massive opportunity cost. The cost of letting that water go is, and not having a proper regime of managing it is, you can't build your tourism. You can't build a proper caravan park and services and do the regional development. And you can't build a fishing industry you can rely on because you go and buy the things. you buy the boats, you buy the infrastructure, you set up your markets, and it all falls in a heap. You can't operate on boom and bust. That is what sustainability means. It might have its bumps and ups and downs, but it doesn't just fall off a cliff every couple of years. And that's the difference. And they just let this system fall off a cliff. And they just don't have any vision. Their idea of regional development. And you know, I'm a bit strange in the Greens. I believe in mining. I come from a stonemason. I come from a mining family, a gas family. I think we need mining. But mining is just so boom and bust. It's an essential part of an economy, but it can't be the only thing. And they just put all their eggs in coal mines in the Hunter, uranium mines near Dubbo, and now this new gas disaster. And it'll come and it'll go. Whereas things like tourism, fisheries, agriculture, the things you all do for each other, that's what sustains a community.
Just getting in the front.
Jeremy, I just want to know, the irrigators up there taking all of our water, and if it's so good, this ball water, why don't you use it on the cotton?
That's a really good question. Because it's not good water, it's rubbish. Because, Darren was telling me today, I know what I'm going to go and buy. I'm going to go and buy 3 container loads of chemicals. Because he told me that last time the water ran out because it got all salty, how it just chewed out all the elements on everything. It's not good water. It's not, like, you can't sustain a community on it. Now you might say some water's better than nothing, but okay, fair enough. But you shouldn't be in that situation. You should have to accept being second best.
One in the back.
I've taught you to stand still.
Yeah, just one thing I want to point out. I've done a little bit of research. Australia is the only country in the world that I can find that's got their cotton farms at the top ends of their rivers. Now, cotton farms take a lot of chemicals to keep the bugs and what have you out of them, okay? But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Every other country in the world that grows cotton has got the cotton farms down the bottom end of their rivers to flush the shit out to sea. Now, the rubbish is going to come down the rivers and then out to sea. So not only are we going to bugger our sea, we're going to bugger our rivers as well. I can't understand that part of it. But anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd put that out there. Thank you.
I never thought of that. That's something I just learned. I mean, I appreciate that, mate. I never thought of that.
Mate, we've had it for years.
I mean, that makes sense. All the other major river systems, it's down in the delta, that sort of thing. But what you know is, and like, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist here, is that all these big decisions about the lakes, about whether or not we have like coal seam gas or something like that, they are a long time coming. Governments just don't turn up and turn the cap off here or boost some industry here without them sitting around first of all and working out who's going to win out. They decide what they're going to do and then they decide who's going to own it. And they did that with cotton. They made a strategic decision. Okay, we're going to start. We're going to license massive great cotton enterprises. We're going to open up southern Queensland to cotton, New South Wales is going into cotton, and all of those things. They made a decision to do that. They worked out, they knew who would be the winners out of it. You've seen some of the interest in some of the cotton farms around the place. And then they roll it out. They work out what they're going to do, they work out who's going to own it, and then they go and do it. And they're doing that with the gas industry in New South Wales. They decided to turn a third of New South Wales into a gas industry, which is going to bugger groundwater in this country, let me tell you, in 1995. They decided back then we will have to, they created the licences, and in the 2000s, EOB handed them all out, handed them out to people who knew, handed them out to companies who liked, handed them out. Who knew? Who knew you could go and buy a coal seam gas licence in 2000 for $1,000 that's now worth $375 million. EOB and the Labor Party knew, and those people at the top of that, or those organisations that are profiting, they knew. The same with cotton. There was a decision made to get rich quick, and who cares who gets on the run over on the way to a big bank balance. And that's really what it's about, a strategic decision to do you over by governments.
Excuse me, I get very nervous. Something you were saying earlier about the bill that was passed that none of us knew about. It's not just, well, the main reason is it's what we need to survive. But I've also noticed it's also a lot of natural lakes that run off of it. They've dried up because of being made stuff that we can't get into the water. Oh, sorry, I get very nervous. My question is that for about several years now, I've been trying to get straight answers about why are the natural lakes being closed for the cotton?
I'll say it again, it's just because the money talks. I mean, how many of you have been to see the Minister's office? How many of you have been into a ministerial office? Ever? That's right. But the big cotton farmers, they can jump in the light plane, they can go down there, and they can get a meeting like that. I mean, Macquarie Street, that's where Parliament House is in Sydney, it's absolutely infested. It's absolutely infested with lobbyists. The New South Wales, within an hour of being announced, I was coming out here. I had half a dozen nasty emails from Nanoy Cotton, Irrigators Council. They were all over me like a rash, going, "Oh, we don't like what you said, and your mate Cameron Jones is running for Barwon. He said the wrong thing, and you better." They start to bully people, and they go down there and they bully those politicians. Well, people are sick of it. People have seen the corruption at ICAC. They've seen how the big corporate interests, they get what they want, and they've had enough. And they are absolutely sick of the big parties who are just in the pocket of the big interests, wherever they are, and the revolving door. What you see is, like, I'm a politician, and I'll tell you how much I earn. I earn about $140,000 a year. That's how much I earn. It's about the same as a high school principal. Thank you very much. You pay my wage. Thank you. But the key thing is, all those guys down at Parliament, I've got costs and all the rest of it out of that, but all those guys down at Parliament, they rub shoulders with millionaires. And their jobs only last 4 years or 8 years. I hope Kevin Humphries is in about 3 months. But the people in here, what happens is, those people have got their eye over the horizon for their next job. Their next job, the next thing that's coming along, the revolving door. They think that I won't be a politician for 4 years, but all these blokes are big business, they're making heaps of money. I want a piece of that. So they leave politics and they go and work as a lobbyist. They sit on a board. But to get that job, they make all the decisions that everyone is, a bit of a nod of the week, yeah, we know you'll do the work for us, and when you're finished here, you'll come and work for us actually on the payroll. And that's what's wrong with this country. That the corporations have got control of the democracy through their donations. One of the number one reasons I joined the Greens, I tried to join the Labor Party, but they didn't know that I couldn't fill out the form quite properly. But when I tried to join the Greens, the key thing that got me over the line was my political party does not take 1 red cent in money from any political, from any corporation. We do not take corporate donations. And you're not on your own. I don't think you're on your own. I know I'm being a bit negative about the situation, blah, blah, but that you're not on your own. You are enormously powerful. Communities across Australia and across New South Wales have risen up. Look at the Lock the Gate movement. It's 2 years old. It's got hundreds of thousands of people farmers, greens, city, country have all come together and said, you didn't put our interests first, and now we're going to make you pay. And the National Party, be it in Lismore, Tweed, Ballina, down the coast, the Upper Hunter, they are being held to account. And they are terrified of it because you ultimately have all the power.
Good think of that.
Thanks, Jeremy. Just going back to the comment made here just a moment ago about the toxins. People seem to forget they grew cotton on the Mississippi River for decades. And you know how much cotton was grown in now? Nothing, because they killed the toxins and they're trying to put it back into its natural state. Talking about evaporation, it's been well known in Broken Hill and the far western area for, as I said, decades. The mean average rainfall for our area is 8 inches a year. That's the mean average. The evaporation rate for our area is the same, 8 inches. And some people need to be reminded, the old mate talking here a while ago, the last major flood event we had, Menindee Lake held water storage at Kamanaroo for 10 years. 10 years it was there until the Murray-Darling Basin Authority started talking about releases and what have you. And people will remember in 2004, a chap by the name of David Harris, from the New South Wales Office of Water, he drained Kamanaroo, he drained Menindee Lake and killed everything in it. The man should have gone to jail for ecological genocide. And the only comment at the time was, I'm sorry, it's regrettable, but it had to happen. It didn't have to happen at all. The Murray River was still already in flood. When you talk about what people get and what they expect, make no mistake about what's happening with the Menindee Lake system. And some of the things I'll talk to you about, they're not fancy, they read in the barrier know the truth. And those people around here that are observant and want to read all of the papers sometimes, it's not that long ago that the Candyhouse Farms was on its knees. And then they sold water rights to the government for $35 million. And people read about that? The next statement they made was, we have now got a little bit of finance. They bought Wallosha Station below Candia. We're going to diversify, we're going into sheep grazing and everything else. The only reason they bought Wallosha Station is they bought 20 kilometres of Darling River frontage with it. And it's the same sort of thing that's happening up in Queensland. People talk about Covey Station. It was also in the Barrier Nolan Tree probably 12 months ago. A little right up in there, Australia's largest irrigator, up for sale. It was Carindale Farms up in Queensland. They're above Covey Station. They own 80 kilometres of river frontage on the McIntyre River. This plan here was drawn many years ago by a very learned person that covers the catchment area from the top of Queensland down to South Australia and everything that runs into the lakes and what have you. It says on there that the catchment area for the Murray-Darling Basin is approximately 647,000 square kilometres. Carindale Farms in Queensland irrigate, they grow cotton, rice, oilseed, agriculture. They irrigate 55,000 square kilometres of area, almost a tenth of the catchment that's possible to get into the river system. And like I said, the other thing that I noticed here a few months ago, and this is what really burnt me, was Candia Farms had an application in the Barrier Darling Tree to put 2 pumps at Cornvilla, and it said on an existing channel. And those pumps were capable of pumping, each pump, 2,000 litres a second. They were granted permission to put those pumps there, and as I said, make no mistake about why this water's being released out of the lake system. There's only one place it's going, and that's into the cop.
Good evening, Jeremy and people of Broken Hill. Arthur Davies is my name, and I think we've got to remember we're here tonight to find an alternate water solution to Broken Hill. That's the main topic we're looking at. We've got to look at what we've got. We've got a lake system that works for South Australia. It doesn't work for us, and it doesn't work for us because it's never been completed, and it probably never will because of the cost. We've got to look at an alternate water source. We've got a river system that's a rain event river system. It's a rain event river system. That means it only runs where it rains. And that's why it's not raining now, it's rain. There's only one place that Broken Hill can still store permanent fresh water, and that's in the river. The lower Weatherall system holds 30,000 metres, and that's what's got at present. If it puts any more in the system, it spills out into the top lakes, and they just evaporate. So what it needs to do, it needs to put a regulator above the top lakes, and the top lake is Lake Malta. It needs to put a regulator there, a sizable regulator, to store water for Broken Hill actually in the river. There's 300 miles, river miles of river between Menindee and Canberra. Deep channel, 300 miles. That's the only it's the only way you can achieve evaporation, the deep channels. And we've got to look at it. It's a natural phenomenon. We should be looking at that river system and not the lakes. The lakes are great for recreation and tourism, and they've been fantastic over the years, but to fill them requires a massive rain event. And the chances of that at the moment is quite slim, but it can happen any time.
What are you on about?
Of course it can happen. Of course it can happen.
Twice before. $50 million out of the income in the area.
It can happen any time, but I'm talking about, I'm not talking about taking the lakes away. The lakes well, if you want a water source for Broken Hill for your houses, you need to store it in the river. You need to store it in the river. The lakes will fill when there's enough volume to fill them, and only then.
Let them two let speak, please, folks.
So that's where we should be looking at storing in a deep channel in the river for the town of Broken Hill. The water can be let down to the lower Weatherall system when it's needed to where the pumps are to pump to Broken Hill. The situation is like now. That's the only place you can store fresh water on a more permanent basis. The lakes, like I say, are great for recreation, but they require a big rain event to fill them up. Thank you.
Well, look, I'd say, I appreciate what you're saying. We just had a contribution before that when there was water in Menindee, it stayed there for 10 years. And you do get a flood every 10 years. So if it's properly managed, like there are flood events every couple of years. But what we know is that the medium-sized floods just aren't getting here anymore. And so it's really about an approach to the whole lake. And we do know that, sure, there's a lot of evaporation in those lakes, but if you empty out 4/5 of the water, just over the year, you're going to evaporate more. So, look, I'm not discounting what you're saying, but it's a puzzle that takes the community to solve. One thing I do think, though, is that there's a lot of collective knowledge in this room about how the lakes operate, should operate, where they can be improved, where infrastructure can be spent. I think it's criminal that you don't get a say in their management. Like you're here talking to me, and that's fantastic. But why at certain trigger points doesn't your voice get louder? If it was a democratic system, if it was a true system, the Menindee Basin, they can run it when it's full, okay? But when it's 3/4, it reverts to the state. When it gets to half, it's half state, half you, and the last little bit is all yours to work out what to do with. That would be a much fairer system. At the moment, you're totally disenfranchised. The decisions are being made in Canberra, the decisions are being made in Sydney, and that's not fair, because the decisions aren't being made properly. This meeting is evidence of that.
Just the final three questions, folks.
Good evening. My name is Frank Curry. I'm a local. What is really all my life. Just a couple of issues. History of Russia. They have the two largest freshwater lakes over there in the world, actually.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Over in Russia, they have the two largest freshwater lakes in the world. They decided to grow cotton. Now, they have the most spherical water. It's just a terrible area. It's just a point of interest. Number two, the local phenomenon going about the lakes now. It was said that people in Bulgaria and Wentworth own the water conservation here to tell them to turn the water on. They were flooding out their front lawns, the river was overflowing. And the answer that they got was, we're not allowed to turn it on. Now, who was to answer for that? Another one going back in the 1950s, early 60s. We had a population of around 36,000. We didn't have any water problems then. And the lakes weren't even operating. So why do they want to come on more than that? And put it right through the city? One of the reasons, final question I would like you, and thank you very much for coming and being very open towards us. There is a question I would like to put the Minister himself that's been here, but I haven't had the opportunity, and I would like you, if you would kindly put it in when you go to Parliament, the Constitution of Australia. Are you familiar with that?
Am I familiar with it? Yeah, sort of, yeah, I know.
All right, now during the Second World War, it was the priority of any government to confiscate any property, any object, any things for what they want for the benefit of the country. For the benefit of the country, not for the benefit of investors. Now, why doesn't the government get this public question, even our local, how you stand out? Why don't they do something about those people and buy them out? If they won't sell, kick them out. It's for the benefit of the country. Sorry about that. The final thing I would like you to do, when you go back to Angela, a lot of us have heard those bloody clowns, excuse the expression, laughing at us people up here in Broken Hill. Do you remember that? Well, you tell them that we are not clowns, and tell them to come up here and laugh in front of our face.
I will dare them all to turn up next time. I will. Like I'm a pest. I've got to admit it, I'm a political pest. I spend my time harassing the National Party about all the things they've done wrong and giving the Labor Party a hard time. That's my job, to hold them to account. I'm very busy doing that because there's so many things they bugger up. But you made some excellent points there. That you can't trust government blindly. I mean, in this country, we don't have a Bill of Rights. In terms of the Constitution, we don't have a Bill of Rights. You don't have the right to tell a mining company, you can't come on my land. You don't have a right to water, to clean water in this country. The Greens, as a political party, have put forward a bill to enact a Bill of Rights. It says you've got the right to a proper education, clean water, freedoms, the right to vote, the right to live in peace and harmony, these types of things. In Australia, we assume these things. We assume that the government's going to put our interests first, that someone will get caught. Well, guess what? Is Eddie O'Brien in jail? No. Will Eddie O'Brien go to jail? Has he even been charged with anything? Absolutely not. And so they're the things that are a big indicator that the system is broken, and we can change it. We can absolutely change it. And you know, and that's what this is part of. I mean, you know, there's been revolution started in this country, from little things, big things has grown, and the attitude of the government, the people around the gas industry is trying to roll out, and water will be one of those key things, because there's nothing more precious than, on the driest continent of Earth than water, and we'll make sure that we deal with it.
Second last question.
Why don't you give us a person to go behind and give us a person to vote and give us a person to trust?
They're thin on the ground out at the forest group, mate, but that person's probably you, mate. Like, I got into politics because I believe in big ideas. I think that we can solve these problems and those types of things. But it's disappointing that a lot of people put other interests first. There are choices you can make. You know, whether or not you vote for the Greens, you agree with everything, some of it, I don't know. Whether or not it's independent, I don't know. That's one of the choices. I mean, Cameron, where are you, mate? Stand up. This is the fellow who's running for the Greens here. He's a local school teacher. You know, but really, you know, there's the democratic process, but then there's also, you know, bigger issues about holding people to account. You know, coming together and demanding action from your politicians. You're going into a state election, you should probably, I don't understand there's a resolution or that sort of thing you'll pass, but you should write these things down and say, these are the things we want our next member to do, and get them to sign it. You say, you commit that you will do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and if you don't, next election, next, and get another one. Don't just line up again and again and again and again. You wouldn't do it with any other employee. I'm just your employee. And if I wasn't performing, out, next. That's how you should treat politicians. It's a good trade. It should be a good trade, mate. So the question is, you know, who do you trust? Someone from your community, someone who's going to put your community's interests first, not someone who's going to put money first.
Look, sorry everybody, it's me again, but what I've done before, I took it all on the walk about a little painting, you know, okay, I'm very sorry, I just want to explain that, but I think, you know, I sat down and listen to other people talking about bores and dams and all this, right, but I don't know when Broken Hill really was established first, because I didn't go to school much, right, but I know that the Menindee Lakes and the dams, they was finished in 1968, right? And you can take this back to the government people back in Canberra. It was finished in 1968 to secure Broken Hill for water. Wasn't that right? Why are we on this crisis now, today, when that happened in 2004, and we know about rain? You know, you had Peter Gibbon talk to, he's older than a lot of us here. He was read out at Kitika Station. Okay? My people helped him. Right? So we're in a crisis that was there in 2004. Why didn't they fix it then? What Peter Gibbon said, why can't they do these dams and you can't, they should be trying to do this now to secure the water. Okay? The government's going to do all this and that. Then I had a young fellow over here talking, his name was Tom, talking about the health issues of Broken Hill for the kids, whether they're black or white. We all get sick and we all need water. Why would it fix up then? The next question is, we're going to die in Darling and I live in Murray because that's all our water goes. I was just down in Mildura. It's beautiful to see the paddle boats going up and down the river. But even the ducks that can't fly anymore, they bolt. Okay? Then, not you, Jeremy, but why do the politicians, I think when they get into politics, they like to play rugby or play basketball because they're good at dodging the proper issues.
it seems to me that they're deliberately killing the lakes. It's a deliberate strategy to kill the lakes to make it easier for them to feed water up, to send water south. You need a commitment from whoever it is to have a document you put under their nose. You sign a document that you will fight tooth and nail to keep the Menindee system viable, to keep a living Darling system. You want politicians who will do that at every level, at a local level, state level, federal level. So that's what the message I will take back, that this is an integral part of the community out here, the environment, social, economic future of this region, and you need a commitment from the politicians to that simple fact that in 10, 20, 50, 100 years' time, that system will be part of this community, part of that environment as it should be. Not just starve the water deliberately to meet the needs of other interests who've got more stick than you. So that's what you need as a commitment from them. Put that to the politicians. Stay together. Like, this is the best, most rapid social movement I've seen in my time in politics. A powerful group. Got great structure, a great website, and people are listening to us. John Williams today, he was too busy. I saw him at the airport. He said he was somewhere else in the election. I saw him today. I'm on his patch. I'm a green, blowing, coming to Broken Hill, and he hung his head and slunk away from me. Now that show, he didn't have a ticket to come up to me and say, "What are you doing here? I've got this sorted out, bugger off." That's what I should have been doing. But he didn't do it. So you there, I'll make every commitment in speeches, in questions, everything I've learned tonight, I'll take it to the Parliament, I'll write to the various ministers in the departments, and I'll make sure that your voice is heard in Quarry Street and in the election and beyond.
So just one more. The woman has always got to have the last say, so we'll hand over to Mari.
I'm Mari Wecker. I was one of the founding members of the Darling River Action Group, and we brought a cloud like this at the Civic Centre. But as the years went by, the crowd lessened and lessened. I just asked all you people, keep the rage. It takes 10 years. It takes 12 years. You have to deal with every form of government, Liberal, Labor, Green, Nick Xenophon we dealt with. You have to be able to sit with every group of government. You have to listen to all of the government. I can imagine why some people didn't come here tonight, because they wouldn't have even been allowed to speak. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. I'm so proud of all the people here, and I just ask you to keep the rage. And the other thing I ask is that perhaps tonight would be a good time to move some amendments to take to the government. You know, some sensible amendments of what you'd like done with the lakes. I, for one, would like a bank between Corndilla and Menindee, because whether you know it or not, those two lakes fill simultaneously. So if you get an inch of water in Lake Menindee, you get an inch of water in Corndilla. That's just a recipe for disaster. Build a bank, build a regulator between those two lakes, hold the water back in Lake Menindee. That's one thing that they have done all the environmental testing on, they've done all the planning on, and I'm sure with some pressure that would be one thing that we could get done, which would help our system hold some more water back in the river. You know, none of us want to see that river dead. I just ask you all, please just keep your cool, but keep the rage at the same time, and keep the pressure on everyone.
Alright, so almost at the end of the evening, but we do have a motion, and we'll ask Laurie Angel to come up and read that motion and get your vote in tonight. But I'd just like to thank you all for coming out and having your say tonight. I think it's very important. It is sad that both our federal and our state members couldn't be here tonight, even though Susan Lee did say on the breakfast program over a week ago that she would be at a public meeting. And, well, she's not here tonight. Larry, over to you.
work. Here we go. You guys are working too hard. Thank you very much, everyone, because wonderful questions have been raised and issues, and I'm certain Jeremy's definitely going to take them back. And I know that there are people here that we brought back to their masters who will obviously let them know what this, the mood of this organisation is like as well. And Mario, we should probably also recognise that the work that DRAG did do, and they battled their hearts out until they almost ran out of steam. And it's the groundwork that that organisation done 10 or 15 years ago, the reason why we're here today, because the bloody well governments don't listen. This time they will. We'll make them listen, even if we've got to march all the way to Sydney to do so. However, we worked on a resolution, and it's not a radical resolution. It's not to go on strike tomorrow. It is basically giving the opportunity for the political parties, those that are in power, to make a decision to support us here at Broken Hill, and I guess also support the people of Menindee, Wilcannia, Tilpa, Louth, Pooncarie, basically those who are on the length of the bar. Now, a resolution that I'd like you guys to support tonight with a round of applause is that the government give an immediate undertaking to suspend the bore drilling program and to enter into meaningful discussions with the traditional owners of Menindee Lakes and the following community reps: Mr. Darren Clifton, Mr. Kevin Stacey, Mr. Mark Hutton, Mr. Stan Deline, Ms. Karen Page from the Menindee Tourist Association, and Mr. Barry Fowler from the Sunset Progress Association. Those people have done a lot of hard work, and I'd like to see the government say, let's sit down and talk with them, see what they've got to say.
Thank you, Larry. Now, obviously, tonight's meeting was put together very, very quickly, and obviously it came on the back of the fact that Jeremy agreed to come out of here. So, Jeremy, on behalf of the Broken Hill community and the people of Far West, thank you very much for coming out. Both put your hands together for the Broken Hill. And folks, before I do let you go, there was an attendance sheet that went around tonight. It may have been confused with the actual petition, but there is an attendance sheet. You can sign that. But also there is a petition that we need all those signatures. If you did sign the petition at either the Red Robin Deli, Alfresco's or Broken Hill Foodland, and you didn't sign it but you put your phone number, that's actually ineligible. So we need you to re-sign the petition. So have a think back and go and see the lovely Pauline. Folks, just want to also say a big thank you to Trish and Paul and Jade Syme for all their hard work. To the manager here at the Musicians Club, Chris, and his board of directors and the staff for hosting tonight. We do appreciate it. It's great that we can do something back to a club. To Menindee Mail and Freight, Julie Barrett's Food School, Broken Hill and Menindee. So thank you very much for those local businesses for their support. And also to the local media, to the Barry Daily Truth, Southern Cross Television, ABC Local Radio and 2BHLFM. And Grosso. And so finally but not least, can you please put your hands together for Larry Angel, also Kevin Stacey, and also Darren Clifton for the great work that they're doing. Again, thank you for coming out. Have yourself a drink and have a great evening. And don't give up the fight.